guys, welcome back. Last time you saw us build the chest box for the TIE Pilot, and this time we're going to build the armour and mount the box to it. So this is a kit. These are all the components that we need to build our TIE Pilot armour. Okay, so let's get into it. We can chit chat as we go. So I'll run you through the bits. We've got a chest, back, shoulder bridges, the little details that go on the shoulder bridges, some elastic to close it, some hardware to put it together, and a little bit of ABS, which I'll show you what that's for. So keep watching. So I'm making them watch the video now. Right, okay, so let's trim these bits out. I'm going to rough trim them to begin with. Then they can be sanded down, so we just want to leave a little return edge. It's going to be about 4 mil, I think, by the time I'm finished. So this armour is all derived from original A&H production made Stormtrooper armour. And it is modified slightly to have a flat back panel on the back plate and a raised section on the chest area, which is where we're going to mount our chest box. So I'm not going to spend too much time showing the trimming out, because if you've seen how to build a Stormtrooper, or just, I think we might have even done just a basic kind of trimming video, it's the exact same principle. I start with the shears and then I'm going to go through and trim it down with the Dremel, or we tend to use a belt sander just because it's a little bit quicker. But if you haven't got a belt sander, that's fine, because you can just do it with a Dremel. Heck, you could even do it with just sandpaper and a craft knife. I wouldn't recommend that though. I don't do it that way myself. Okay then. Producer's saying we'll link videos below for the Stormtrooper and any videos that might assist in the trimming out. So I'm going to crack on with trimming this out. I'll be back shortly. Okay, so there's chest and back trimmed out, just a little return edge all the way around, about 3 mil. Just out of interest, trim this in the Stormtrooper style, so it goes from our 4 mil, so it's fat down this section, back down to the 3 mil at the bottom. You got that? Here. And we've got our shoulder bridges trimmed out. We've just got a few. Can't get the deburrer up in that corner because of the angle. As a Stormtrooper, really, just got a couple of mil either side of the raised detail. Yeah, you can have a look at that. there. So I mean, this is just basic trimming stuff. If you've built anything before, you will have trimmed in this manner. Okay, let's get to assembling it. So what I'm going to want, and this is kind of the crucial part, we've prepared our pieces. Now we need to make these details. I've got a piece of plastic inside my shirt. These details go over the top of the shoulder bridges. Okay, so this is kind of the bit that's different with this particular build. So I'm just going to trim these out now for you. So there's quite a bit of excess plastic on here that you don't need. It's just the vac forming process. So what we actually want is basically a fat plate. What we basically want is a fat piece of plastic with this raised detail in the center. So I'm just going to trim all of this edge off just to get it flat. So I'm going to remove as much as I can with the shears just to reduce the sanding process. As ever with these builds, sanding is your friend. Okay, so what we're looking for here is just a flat piece. I'm just coming right up to the edge of this line all the way around. Okay, once we've done that and we're happy with it, I mean, we're not using many tools here so far. Sanding paper, Dremel if you choose to use it. I've used the belt sander, and that's it. Now I'm going to use a ruler. I mean, tools wise, there's not a lot to this. Right, so we want to cut the corner off in a diagonal. Now, pretty sure on the original they would have just eyeballed it, cut it off. But it's very easy for it to not look good. So, what I'm recommending you do is measure down 10 millimeters from that side and from that side, and then mark it, and then use that as your cut point, just to try and get some consistency in your angles, because it is easy for it to not look very nice. Of course, if you want, you can just eyeball it, which I'm sure they would have done on production. But if you've got any OCD going on, or you just like things to, you know, to know that they're right, you may want to measure it. We tend to measure it because our client might be one of those people. Okay, so this is the detail piece when it's finished. You're not going to say okay, are you?
Okay, a weird game of chicken.
I am going to Blue Peter this next bit. So we've got one finished. Now all we need is 3 more. You can cut now to the 3 finished. The 4 finished. 4 shoulder bridge detail panels. Right, now what we want to do is we want to mount these nuts inside. Sorry, these must be a bolt. I'm going to put these bolts inside. Now the vac forming tool is designed with this in mind, so that does fit in there. Pretty neat. You seen that, Clarky? Yeah, just sit in there really neat. And because it's actually vac formed over one of these, that holds it captive really nice. But we need to attach this to this, and I'll show you how we're going to do that. And it's not super let me just move the Blue Peter magic out of the way. Now it's really low tech how these are held captive, but does the job nice and easy. Okay, so the little piece of ABS may not look like this, maybe a different shape. This is what we're going to use to hold the nuts captive. I'm going to hold the bolts captive on the back of the detail plate. So I'm just going to drill a hole, and we're going to slide this over the bolt and then glue it to the actual plate itself. And I'm just saving my bench with this piece of wood. Not sure what the drill size is, so I'm just using this. Okay, these really do not need to look pretty, which is handy because they don't. That one might be a bit, yeah, They're nice. That one's a little bit too deep. Let's do another one, eh? We've got the stuff. So, for want of a better description, this is like a washer to go on the back. It's the one I don't want. That was a little bit big as well. Heck, it will do. I'll use that worst one first. No, it won't do, it's too big. I think it's about 6mm drill bit, but I don't use that. I can't be bothered hunting for one. Like a glove. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I left the top off my super glue yesterday. So I'm just putting a little super glue on there. Now, if you were really interested, you could put a little dab of glue on there as well if you really wanted to. I don't think it's essential, but while we're here, so what we should end up with is a nut super glued to a piece of, I keep calling it a nut. So what we should end up with is a bolt held captive and sandwiched onto our decorative faceplate. You got it? So just do the same again. After struggling with that step drill, I've actually found my 6mm drill because I'm going to need it for this part. So what I want to do is drill a hole central in this first big ridge, and I want to do it kind of on the center both ways. So I'm actually going to start with the 4mm, and then I'm going to do the same on the back here. Just roughly mark it, eyeball it. Yeah, that looks good. So I've drilled that with my 4mm, and now I'm going to go in and open it up to 6mm.
Why'd you do that?
Just because 6mm drill through this thin plastic, I don't know, I just prefer doing it this way. There's probably less chance of it slipping or ending up where I don't want the hole. You know, better safe than sorry. Okay. So we'll take our piece. I want it about 1 inch an inch down there. And roughly central. I'm just looking, using my eyes. So I'll go in with the 4mm again. If when I see it, I look at it and I think it's slightly off center or I want to change it, I've kind of got another 2mm where I can correct it a little. And it's just not a savage pulling through, you know. You could go with 6. You could just go straight in with 6. I just feel it's adding a little bit of risk to the job. A bit on there, I'm just going to trim that off. Just that very edge. Okay. So our hexagon plate, our octagon plate goes through the shoulder bridge, through the shoulder bridge, through the actual chest armour, and tightens up on the inside. Now you probably could actually glue the shoulder bridges as well, but there's no real need to, so I don't. Okay, the back.
Do you know this is how the originals were done?
Whether they were glued or not?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
So why do you do it like this?
What do you mean?
Why do you bolt it in like this?
Oh right, no, that's how they were done.
That's what I mean, so you know that's how the originals were done.
Yeah. So I'm going to go just under an inch on the back, but not 3/4. It's I don't know. I'm going to have to tell you in millimeters because I don't know. I don't know what it is in. Right. So I'm 20, about 22 millimeters in on the back. And again, exact same process. So just about near the middle, or in the middle, as middle as anything can be. So the back obviously attaches exactly the same as the front. It's just harder for you to see in the video because now it's got the front attached. That edge was a tad furry then. Right, I'm going to use elastic to create a closure. And this is just going to come in here. Now, there's not a lot of... I've got some furry edges here, I must have missed these. There's not a lot of scope for sizing with this, but when you're attaching these, you can create some. So we could go longer, or we could go a little bit shorter, but even then, it is elastic. So I just want to do it, I think leave a gap of a couple of inches. The elastic's going to give a little. Right, so I'm going to put the elastic in first. Let's just have a little look, see how much. Yeah, I think I'm going to put about an inch of the elastic in, super glue that in. I'm not going to do it right at the bottom, just slightly up. Just super gluing that in there now. Can use a little bit of kicker if you wish. Okay, we'll repeat on the other side. Again, not quite at the bottom. I'll just kick it. Get that about the same as the other side.
Towards me, so it's like going through so I can see the inside and the outside. Tilt it down a bit. There you go, still like that. And then keep it tilted down and then twist it side to side. And then go back this way.
Right, and that is our armour essentially built and ready to wear. so now we need to mount our chest box on the front. Here's one we made earlier. So there are a couple of different ways of doing this. Okay, so when we mount the chest box on, we want this line on the back here to be just above here on the armour. This might mess with my microphone. So I've marked the edge of the mount area, and we want it in this section here. Okay, so it's not really going to matter. Okay, so I'm coming about an inch in from either side and about an inch down. Ooh. We're going to use these little plastic nuts. I'm glad you asked. It's our 6mm drill bit from earlier on.
Why have you gone straight in with the 6mm and not used it before?
Because now that's a good question, Andrew. I'm glad you asked. Why did we do that? Was I just being lazy? No. On this particular, these are quite crucial where they go in the costume. This now is not crucial because...
When you say it's not crucial, do you mean it doesn't have to be as accurate? Precise?
Yeah, because this is... I'm just going to mark these holes, which could be in, as long as they're in that rough area, as long as these holes are in that rough area, we're golden, because I'm going to mark these exact holes with the back of this exact box.
So is this kind of like the way the front and back of a scout helmet are made for each other, like not another chest box wouldn't necessarily fit in the same place on a chest piece because they're marked together?
Yes.
What you're doing with those magnets?
Oh yeah, I can do. I'm just taping some magnets into...
Hold on. Right, go on.
taped some magnets inside the box so I can just put it on the chest, have a look at it, show it all lines together, see if I've got it in the place, you know, kind of central on the chest. Not happy with that, we'll move it along a little bit. Okay, so let's just have a, I'm looking at that line to see if that looks fairly straight. Yep, okay, now just eyeball it from the front. And I'm just looking at these edges. From my perspective, these are kind of matching up with this. Do I like that? Okay, I like the way that looks. Doesn't look perfectly straight on the back. Right, we're gonna have to do some editing here because this isn't right. But we can make it right. That's better. Right, we're going to change our directions. Right, okay, that's good. We'll talk about it now, because me and Alice were just talking about this earlier on. So in the back of your box, you will find two little indents that mark where you need to drill to mount your hardware. And there will be two corresponding indents in the chest armour, and that is where you need to drill your hole to mount your armour successfully every time. You like that, Clarky?
Well, I'm confused now though.
Why?
Because before, each chest box was unique for the chest plate.
Yeah.
Now you're saying they're all at the same mark.
They are going to do. This one hasn't. But I'm going to put the marks in. So all your kits that you're building will have the marks in.
Going forward, not.
So this is why having the back of the box open is helpful at this stage. I mean, you could just glue it. There's no reason why you couldn't just glue this to that. But if you've got any issues down the road, you may want to change it, or any damage happens or anything like that. There we go, that's got enough now. I'm pretty sure we used to sink the whole thing and then add like a washer on the inside. Because you know me, I like things simple. So I'm just gluing these to hold them in place, and because they're inside the box, I'm just adding my glue from this side. Pull it through, pull it tight, and spray sesame. Okay, there we go. So your kit will have the marks for the drill holes in the vac forming, just to save any faffing about, because let me tell you, that was a bit of a faff, and that will ensure replacement pieces fit straight in. Get rid of my magnets. So with the box mounted, that completes the TIE Pilot Armour build. So I'm revisiting this because it was something that has been bugging me, I've been wanting to do for a while. So we're just going to do it because it needs to be done. So I had a little look into this and I've decided that I am going to glue these on to the chest. So I'll quickly do that and then I'll run through the change. So I'm just going to quickly glue these in position. And I'm just using this as a guide to line my hole up. Right, so the reason for the change, the reason for this additional bit, there is, we decided we want to start putting the rubber onto the armour because the ties did have a little bit of rubber trim around the edges. Known about it for a while, never got too deep into it, but because we were doing this video, I thought, let's check it out, let's find out what it's all about. And I've decided we're going to do it, so let's do it. So I did cut these roughly to size. Let me just check which one is which. Oh yeah, that's it. So as you can see, there's just a little bit of rubber trim being added. So this is the kind of rubber that will take super glue really nicely. I forget what it's called, it's just some sort of initials. So I'm just putting some little dots at the ends. Probably doesn't need it, as you can see it's not easy to come off, but I'm just going to put a little dab in the middle there, and I'm going to do it on the inside rather than the outside. So this is probably one of the more interesting parts, the rubber trim stops here. It doesn't come down on this edge or around the bottom, at least not in any of the reference photos that we have. Right, I'll repeat that on the rear and we are finished. It's a bit fiddly to get on, but once it's on, I think it's worth it. Get it on one side, it comes off the other side. Right, okay, we've got enough length. I'm just putting a tiny bit on. You do not need much glue with this rubber. That's kind of cool. I think I'd be tempted to leave a little bit more return edge on than we did when we originally did this. So I think I was talking about 3 or 4 mil. I'd probably be more 5 or 6 mil. You could probably even be a little more bold and leave a little more on if you really wanted to. So the addition of rubber is, or a trim on the edge is quite interesting. Whether it was there in New Hope or it was added later for Jedi, I'm not 100% sure. But clearly they went further down this route with future stormtroopers by adding the trim. You have to B-roll or time-lapse this because it's very boring. Now this pretty much just sits over the head, so if you really wanted to, there's no reason why you couldn't glue those shoulder strips, shoulder bridges on the back as well if you really wanted to, but it's not necessary. I think this time I'm done. And there it is. It's a subtle change, not very noticeable. The people here didn't even really notice it when I was trying to point it out to them, but it is what it is. Accurate. So why is the rubber trim new? Well, I knew about it a long time ago, but I think in the back of my mind, I was thinking that it was, that I was told it was Stormtrooper brow trim. And I always thought, oh, that's really huge, can't see how that would work, and it need cutting and all that. Anyway, when I've been researching it whilst we've been doing this tutorial, I got some images up and I realised it wasn't the brow trim at all. And it was the trim from the X-Wing pilot helmet, which makes way more sense, fits nice and looks good. So we're going to go for it. I kind of like it. It's not very noticeable, but at the same time, when you do see it, gives a little bit more definition to the colours that are going on because it's a matte finish.